Good evening, students. Welcome to the second part of the second chapter, The Food Factory of Plants. I hope all of you are well. You are safe in your home. So let us start our class today. In our previous class, in the first part of The Food Factory of Plants, we discussed about the parts of a leaf and how do plants make food and the use of the food that the plants are making and some other experiments in the form of activity. And in today's class, our topics will be the functions of a leaf. What are the functions that are performed by leaf in a plant? So let us start from page number 1717, functions of a leaf. A leaf performs various functions for a plant. So it is not only one task, it is multiple tasks that the leaf is doing on the betterment of a plant, on the purpose of a plant. So the first function that we already have known is the making of food. We have already learned that leaf is the kitchen of a plant. So the most important function of a leaf is to prepare food for the plant. And there are some leaves also, there are some plants also where the leaves are storing the food. As for example, we can get spinach. It is known to all of us, isn't it? It is a very nutritious plant, leaves, and we used to eat that, spinach. And the second one is fenugreek, or in Bengali we can call it methi. So these two are the examples where the leaves are storing the food. And we used to eat those leaves as vegetables. So this is the first function of a leaf. Let us go to the second function. What is the second function of a leaf? That is, all living things, including plants also, they breathe to keep alive, to stay alive, right? So stomata is the part that are visible in the leaves. We can see stomata. These are the small pores in the leaves, right? We have already learned that. So this is the part of a leaf which help the plant to breathe, right? So leaf is a part that helps the plant in their breathing procedure, in their respiration, because stomata takes in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. We have already learned that. So the second function that the leaves are doing for the growth of a plant are breathing. That is the respiration. This is the second function of leaves. Now let us go to the third function. Most leaves have a very wide surface which help them to absorb a large amount of sunlight. And this sunlight helps in the process of photosynthesis, right? So this part of a plant, that is the wide surface of a leaf, that helps to absorb sunlight. So this is the third function. And the fourth function is that in some plants, not in all of them, in some of the plants, leaves also help in reproduction. That is to give birth of the next generation, right? To give birth of a new plant. In that purpose also, there are some plants where the leaves are necessary. So these are the main four functions of a leaf. Okay, so we will remember that the first one is making food for the plant. The second one is in the respiration process. The third one is the wide surface of a leaf helps to absorb sunlight. And the fourth one is in some plants, in some particular plants, specific ones, leaves also help in the process of reproduction. Okay, this is a very important part of our today's class. Now the next topic is some unusual plants. So in this topic, we will discuss some particular plants which are not very normal ones. The normal, that is general ones. It is not that. It is a bit different one. So let us discuss these unusual plants. There are many other plants that are different from green plants because of their unusual features, extraordinary features. So these plants are a little bit different from the general plants. The first one is that is given in our book in page number 18, if you follow it. The first one is non-green plants. There are certain non-green plants. So these plants are non-green. What is the green substance present in plants? We have already learned that the name of that green substance is chlorophyll, right? So there are some plants where we do not have this chlorophyll. So thus, these plants cannot prepare their own food. These plants used to depend on other dead plants or decaying rotten plants and animals for food. So they are dependent on others because they cannot make their own food because they don't have chlorophyll. And that is why it is not possible for them to continue the process of food making, photosynthesis, because for this purpose, chlorophyll is a must, right? So these plants, they need food. Where from they will collect the food? They used to depend on dead and decaying plants, the rotten ones, or even the rotten animals' bodies for their food. Okay, and there is one activity that is given on this topic, that is activity 5. Here, they have asked you to take a slice of bread and to make it wet or moisten it with water, and then you will place that bread piece in a dish and keep it in a warm place, just maybe beside the window. For a few days, you will keep it there. So what will happen after that? After a few days, you will see that some cottony, just like cotton, very soft type, greenish, a particle has been grown on that particular slice of bread. That is a new thing that has appeared on the slice of bread, and it is a type of fungus. Okay, and it is called bread mold. This is a particular type of fungus. So bread that has mold is harmful and it cannot be eaten. It is very harmful for our body, so it cannot be eaten. So this activity shows that on that particular place, since it is rotten in wet condition, moisten condition, when you are keeping it on the window place beside the warm window, those things are grown on the bread. Okay, so what it will prove that a certain type of non-green plants can be grown on decaying matter. On that particular rotten bread, it has grown. It is proved by this activity. So from where do these non-green plants are getting their food? Where from they're getting their food? That is the first important question. They need food, obviously, like everybody else. So where from they will collect their food? They get or absorb food from other sources such as soil or other green plants. From those sources, they used to collect their food. They used to absorb their food. Mushrooms and bracket fungi are some examples of non-green plants that are commonly found around us. So these are the two common examples. You will have to learn these two names. One is mushroom, which you have already learned. I think you have already known, you have heard. And the second one is bracket fungi. These two names you will have to learn. Mushrooms have very thin root-like structures that go deep into the soil. Why they're going deep into the soil? Because these structures help them to absorb food from the soil. That is why they're going deep into the soil and collecting food, absorbing food from the soil. And bracket fungi, that they used to grow on tree trunks. Even trunks means the stem of the tree, the trunk of the tree. So on that, bracket fungi are grown. They also absorb food from that particular tree on which it is grown. The next example is of insectivorous plants. Very important thing. You will learn it thoroughly. I'm giving some pictures also. You will see them. You will learn this part thoroughly. You will listen to my audio thoroughly and you will see the pictures. Insectivorous plants. Now, what is insectivorous plant? Some plants attract, capture, kill and digest insect. Isn't it horrible? They used to digest insects and they are plants. So such plants are known as insectivorous plants, or even we can call them carnivorous plants. So what do? They used to attract the insects, they used to capture them, they used to kill them, and thereafter they used to digest those insects. It is a trap-like thing, okay? So the insect will be easily attracted and they will be trapped, and thereafter they are killed, and the plants are absorbing something or digesting something from the body of those insects. They are called insectivorous or carnivorous plants. Very important examples, you will have to learn the names, that is Venus flytrap, sundew and pitcher plant. These are the famous examples of insectivorous plants. So let us see the picture of pitcher plant. I am also giving it, and it is given in your book also. In a pitcher plant, the leaf is shaped like a pitcher. All of you know the shape of a pitcher where we used to keep the water, with a small lid. Lid means cover. It is already having a small cover. The pitcher is brightly colored to attract insects. It has a very bright color, and that is attracting the insects. When an insect enters the pitcher, it sleeps and falls into the juice below the pitcher. So there is a particular juice inside that pitcher like shaped plant, and the insect is easily trapped and it is slipping and falling down into that juice. So whenever it is trapped inside the plant, what will happen? Digestive juices inside the pitcher will digest that insect. It will be easily digested by the plant. And from this insect, it will collect its required food. There are two other examples given here, sundew plant and Venus flytrap. Both of them are having same features. Okay. So these are the examples of insectivorous plants. Now, flow of energy in the living world. Let us discuss what is this. The heading is saying us flow of energy. That is, energy is flowing in the living world among the living beings. All living organisms need energy to perform various activities. Very true. We need energy for doing different type of activities. And these energy is easily obtained from where? From the food that we eat. Now, green plants can easily prepare, most of the green plants can easily prepare their own food through the process of photosynthesis. The sun provides the energy to the plants to prepare their food. So the required energy by which the plants are making their food, that is coming from the sun. Animals and human beings either directly or indirectly depend on plants for food. Both we, the human beings, and the animals, we are dependent on plants for our food. In this manner, the energy of the sun flows to plants and then to animals and human beings. So that is why it is said that the energy is flowing. First, it is coming inside the plants through the process of photosynthesis. Thereafter, from the body of the plants, it is going to the body of human beings or the animals, because we are eating the plants. So through our way, we are also gradually taking the energy from the plants. That is the way the energy is flowing from the sun to the plants to us. Let us go to the next page, that is page number 20. Interdependence between plants and animals. So plants and animals, they are dependent on each other. How? Due to their way of food and shelter. Plants provide food to animals. We all know that we, the human beings and the animals, both of us are dependent on plants for our food. And they also give out oxygen. We have learned that in the previous day's lesson. Can you remember that the plants are giving out oxygen and they're breathing in carbon dioxide. So animals use this oxygen to breathe, and the oxygen that are coming from the plants, we are taking it for our breathing purpose. Animals breathe out carbon dioxide that plants use for photosynthesis. In our process of respiration, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide, and this particular carbon dioxide is used by the plants for the purpose of photosynthesis, right? So plants also need animals for many other things such as pollination and seed dispersal. Plants are also dependent on animals. For which purpose? For two purposes that has been mentioned here. These two purposes are, first is pollination. Pollination is the way by which how I will explain because you people don't know this, by which the part of the flower is carried from one flower to another flower by the insects, and through this way the reproduction process is taking place in plants. And the second one is the seed dispersal. That is, most of the birds and the small insects, they used to take the seed from one place to another, and this way plants are grown and their reproduction system is generated. It is going on. That is, their next generation is coming. Animals such as birds use plants to make their homes. Very true. We have seen so many nests in the plants, in the trees. Thus, plants and animals are strongly interdependent on each other for their survival. So in the nature, both the animals are dependent on plants and the plants are dependent on animals. Okay, these two things you will have to keep in mind, that there is an interdependence. There is a relative relationship of dependence among the plants and the animals. Both are dependent on each other. Balance in nature. There is an optimum balance in nature between the number of plants and the animals. So the number of plants and the number of animals, there is a particular balance which both of them are maintaining. We know that plants and animals are interdependent on each other for survival, that we have just learned. So if the number of plants suddenly increases, suppose there is a sudden increase in the number of plants, what will happen? The carbon dioxide breathed out by animals would not be sufficient for those plants. If there is a sudden increase in the number of plants, the carbon dioxide they need for making their food, and that is they are getting from we the animals and the human beings, that will not be sufficient for them. So there will be a lack of balance between these two. Similarly, if the number of animals suddenly increases, plants may not be able to provide sufficient amount of food and oxygen to all the animals, because we are dependent on the plants on the issue of food and oxygen. So if there is a sudden increase among the number of animals, it will be again create an imbalance, because the plants will not be able to provide us sufficient food and sufficient oxygen. So what is important? To maintain a balance. Okay, so there should not be a sudden increase or decrease in the number of both plants and animals and human beings. Otherwise, there will be a disturbance in the balance level in nature, that is maintained in the nature. So these things are very much important, and that is why what we will do, we the human beings are frequently cutting the trees, and it will cause a major disturbance in the balance of the nature that is maintained in the nature. So we will have to stop this type of activities like cutting of trees, construction of big buildings, and we will never do anything that will disturb the balance maintained in the nature. Okay. Otherwise, there will be big trouble for us also. We and the animals, other animals, we will suffer a lot if there is an imbalance in the nature. So there is a particular system in which the Mother Earth is maintaining the balance in the nature. We will have to follow that way. Okay. So that's all about today's class. That's all about the topics in this part of the chapter. And now you will do the assessment zone that I will give you. Tick the correct answer, true, false, fill in the blanks. These things you will have to do by yourself. And the questions, short questions in D, I will give you, and maybe a few more big questions also. And you will draw the interdependence, a diagram that is given in page number 20, the interdependence between plants and animals, that you will have to draw in your copy. And also the picture of insectivorous plants, that is also very important. That also you will have to draw, and also the picture of mushroom and bracket fungi. So these are the three diagrams that you will have to do, and the question answers also. Rest of the things I will provide you. And one more thing, children, you will have to follow the links that I am sharing. When I am following my links, I am seeing that there's a very less number of viewers who are watching these videos. Okay, in computer also, in science also and in other subjects also, you will have to follow the video. Otherwise, it may be a little bit troublesome for you people to understand the chapter. So please follow the video that I am providing you, that will be helpful. Listen to the audio that I'm giving through this link. Follow the pictures that I'm providing you. Then it will be easy for you to understand the chapter. Otherwise, maybe you people will face some trouble. Okay, so follow these things in all the subjects. Take care and keep well.